Hello everyone, welcome to Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services. This is a video on daily news and editorial analysis, which I'll be covering from the Hindu and Indian Express. It's the most important news and editorial of the day that is relevant for both prelims and mains examination perspective will be discussed in this session. Let's get started with the news topic list. Today is 6th of October. The first important news, that is the 6th anniversary of Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. This is from the text and context page of the Hindu. Second, Parliamentary Committee and their role in lawmaking. This is from the explain page of the Indian Express. Third important news, SBI launches Gram Seva program. Fourth, Sri Lanka is anticipating less vote at UNHRC. And the last is an editorial, calamity prone urban India worrying a storyline. Apart from the news and editorial discussion, at the end of this video, there will be MCQ based questions. These questions will be based on current affairs that will help you for the upcoming prelims examination. So without any further delay, let's get started. And before I start this session, those of you who are new to our channel, do not forget to subscribe Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services on YouTube. If you like this video, if you find this video informative and helpful for examination purposes, do not forget to press a like button. The first news of the day, that is the 6th anniversary of Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, something important for General Studies Paper 3 under the topic Indian Economy and Issues Related to Planning, Mobilization, Resource Growth and Development. So recently, the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India celebrated its 6th annual day on 1st of October 2022. And talking about the IBC was introduced in 2016 to consolidate the previous available laws to create a time-bound mechanisms where creditor in control model as opposed to the debtor in possession system, right? So the issues of NPA and a lot of insolvency that was arising in the economy, to overcome the problem, IBBI, that is the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board, has come up with the insolvency, खास करके अगर कोड की बात करें इंसॉल्वेंसी कोड को लाएंगे. Now, looking into the brief about the IBBI and IBC, IBBI stand for Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India, as well as the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. So this began in 2016, and the aim was for the reorganizations and insolvency resolutions for the corporate persons, partners firm, the individual in a time-bound manner for maximization of the value of assets. Because if it is reaching out to the court or tribunal, it takes a lot of time. So the main aim was to promote the entrepreneurial availability of credit and balance of interest and of all the stakeholders. Now in 2016, what has happened, that at a time when India's NPA, that is a non-performing assets, was on a higher side, or अगर debt की बात करें, so the default was rising and the older loan recovery mechanism was not working, right? बहुत ही badly performance रही थी, after which the government has decided to introduce the IBC, right? And this was introduced to overhaul the corporate distress resolution regime in India and even consolidate the previous available laws to create a time-bound mechanism with the creditors in model and oppose the debtor in the possession system. Now, when this is triggered under the IBC, that can be just adjusted in two outcomes. इसके दो important outcomes. The first is to provide a resolutions or the liquidations. Now बात करें resolutions की, जो IBC के अंदर दी जाती है Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code के अंदर. Hence, when we look at the data, the official data which is there by the Government of India says that 3,400 cases admitted under the IBC in the last 6 years, and more than 50% of the cases has gone for liquidations, and only 14% of could find a proper resolution. So this is the outcome and the basically you can say the result orientation that we have got from the resolution under the IBC. Now कुछ challenges की अगर बात करें throughout the journey that's completed close to 6 years, तो इस 6 year में कैसी रही है journey? According to the regulator of Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India, the first objective of IBC was to provide the resolution, finding a way to save the business through restructuring, changes in the ownership or the merging. So these were the three important mechanism or tool that was being utilized or used by the IBC members. Now the second objective is to maximize the value of assets in the corporate debtors. जो corporate debtors हैं उनके value of asset को maximize की जाए. And third is to promote the entrepreneurship, basically, which is their government of India is also promoting by various means. So third important criteria was to promote the entrepreneurship, availability of credit, and balancing of interest. So these were some of the challenges that has come across through the IBC over the time. Now कुछ experts की अगर view देखें, what are the expert opinion, how far we have achieved the success, and what is the shortfall in this. So in order to address the delays, the Parliamentary Standing Committee has suggested some time taken to admit the insolvency applications, right? And even they call for the transfer control of the companies for resolution process that should not be more than 30 days of filing. So a resolution within 30 days would be mandatory, right? And the IBBI has also called for a new yardstick to measure the haircuts to provide a resolution, right? And it suggested that the haircut not only looked upon as a difference between the creditor claims and the actual amount realized, but the differences between the companies that bring down and enter into the IBC and the value that is actually realized. Now, moving to the other news, that is the Parliamentary Committee and their role in the lawmaking. This is from the explained page of the Indian Express. This is important for General Studies paper 2, that is the Parliament and State Legislature structure, function, conduct of businesses, power and privileges, and issues arising from it. So a revamp of Standing Committee of the Parliament was recently passed by the Centre, and this could be potentially worsening the relationship between the government and the opposition party, and it has called as an alarm by the opposition party what the current incumbent government has done, right? So a total of 22 committees which is there, which was announced by the government recently, उसमें सिर्फ और सिर्फ कांग्रेस की तरफ से एक कमेटी है जिसमें उस पर चेयरपर्सन बनाया गया, और सेकेंड लार्जेस्ट पार्टी जो है तृणमूल कांग्रेस, उसकी तरफ से कोई भी किसी भी पार्लियामेंट्री कमेटी में उसके चेयरमैन नहीं बने. इट इज़ अ रिचुअल basically that the opposition handles the chairmanship to make it more impartial and transparent, right? So the ruling BJP, that is the party at the center, and the chairmanship of the most of the committee like home, finance, IT, defense और external affairs के जो chairman है वो अभी के ruling party के members हैं, which is a concern, a curtain raiser by the opposition. They have said that this is something not under the spirit of democracy. Now about the committees of parliament की अगर बात करें, parliamentary committee has its origin in the British Parliament. This is the evolution how it took place, and it draw the authority from Article 105, which deals with the privileges of the member of parliament, and Article 180, which gives the parliament authority to regulate the procedures and the conduct of businesses. So these are some of the static important point for the prelims examination, especially for the polity, right? Now talking about the other aspect, that the Parliamentary Standing Committee is a panel of the member that is appointed or elected by the House or the nominated by the Speaker, or which under the directions of the Speaker. तो इसके आप elections process ज़रूर पढ़ लें. You can find this in M. Lakshmikant book, right? So do check it out. Now it presents a report to the House or the Speaker, right? Accordingly, basically हर पार्टी, हर जो पार्लियामेंट्री स्टैंडिंग कमेटी है उनको अपनी रिपोर्ट भी देनी होती है, या तो वो हाउस में टेबल करते हैं या स्पीकर को देते हैं. Now the legislative businesses began when bill was introduced either in the houses of the parliament, right? And but a process of law making is often complex. क्यों अगर बात करें जो पार्लियामेंट्री स्टैंडिंग कमेटी होती है उसकी ज़रूरत क्यों पड़ती है? क्योंकि सारी चीज़ें डिबेट के थ्रू रिजॉल्व नहीं की सकती. पार्लियामेंट के पास बहुत सारी ऐसी चीज़ है जो फंक्शंस करनी है. अगर एक इशू को डिबेट करेंगे सो द इंटायर सेशन विल गो. अगर मानसून सेशन चल रही है तो एक पूरी मानसून सेशन निकल सकती है उसमें. सो इट इज़ इम्पॉर्टेंट दैट अ बिल इज सेंट टू अ पार्लियामेंट्री स्क्रूटनी कमेटी या पार्लियामेंट्री स्टैंडिंग कमेटी, ताकि वो स्क्रूटनाइज कर सके उस बिल के जो लूप होल से जो शॉर्ट कमिंग है उसको आइडेंटिफाई करके अपने रिकमेंडेशंस दे. दैट इज द कोर एसेंस ऑफ द पार्लियामेंट्री स्टैंडिंग कमेटी. सो एज अ रिजल्ट ऑफ विच a great deal of legislative business end up taking place in the parliamentary committee instead. Now कुछ कमिटीज़ की अगर बात करें जो पार्लियामेंट में एग्जिस्ट करती हैं, ब्रॉडली पार्लियामेंट्री स्टैंडिंग कमेटी जो क्लासिफाइड होती हैं उसके कुछ कैटेगरीज हैं. अमंग देम द फर्स्ट कैटेगरी इज द फाइनेंशियल कमेटी, दूसरी होती है डिपार्टमेंटल रिलेटेड स्टैंडिंग कमेटी, Third, other parliamentary standing committee and ad hoc committees. I think most of you must be aware of all this committee. Ad hoc committees के बारे में आपको आगे बताऊंगा किस तरह से फंक्शन करती हैं. Now, the financial committee include the estimate committee. This is again very important for the prelims examination. The financial committee include the estimates committee, the public account committee, and the committee on public undertaking. ये तीन ऐसी committees हैं जो कि finance committee के अंडर आती है. Now, this committee was constituted in 1950. Now, the number of committee was subsequently increased to 24. Now, end of the committee has 31 members and 21 from Lok Sabha and 10 from the Rajya Sabha. Now, क्या aim है इस तरह की committees की? So, the aim of the committee is to increase the parliamentary scrutiny. जैसे मैंने आपको शुरुआत में बताया, हर एक बिल की जो scrutinization है वो इस committee की जिम्मेवारी होती है, and give members more time and wider role in examining the important legislation, shortcoming in the draft bill and the important recommendations. अगर बात करें एडहॉक कमेटी की, जो मैंने आपको बताया था, एडहॉक कमेटी इज बेसिकली अपॉइंटेड फॉर अ स्पेसिफिक पर्पस. ये एक स्पेसिफिक पर्पस के लिए और एक स्पेसिफिक टाइम के लिए बनाई जाती है. दीज आर नॉट परमानेंट. सो डू रिमेंबर दिस, द एडहॉक कमेटी इज नॉट परमानेंट इन नेचर, राइट? सो दे सीज टू एग्जिट आफ्टर द कंप्लीशन ऑफ द टास्क असाइन एंड दे सबमिट द रिपोर्ट. जब ये अपनी रिपोर्ट सबमिट कर दी जाती है, ये कमेटी वापस से डिसॉल्व होती है. नाउ द प्रिंसिपल एडहॉक कमिटीज आर सेलेक्टेड and the joint committees on the bill. Committees like Railway Convention Committee, committees on food management, scrutiny in parliament complexes, security in parliament complexes, etc. also come under the ad hoc committees. Now, there's a JPC, this is the most powerful committee. So, Parliament can also constitute a joint parliamentary committee for a special purposes, which members from the both houses are there to scrutinize the bill or a particular subject. Now, also either in the house, you can set up the select committee with the members of the house. और JPC की अगर बात करें, JPCs and select committee are usually chaired by the ruling party member of parliament and are disbanded after they have been submitting their report. तो जब ये अपनी रिपोर्ट सबमिट कर देती हैं, इसको disbanded कर दी जाती है. This is a protocol which has been followed in our parliamentary affairs. Now, how important is the recommendations of the committee? जो रिकमेंडेशंस आती है पार्लियामेंट्री स्टैंडिंग कमेटी से, एडहॉक कमेटी से या जॉइंट पार्लियामेंट्री कमेटी से, उनकी क्या महत्व है, क्या इंपॉर्टेंस है? सो द रिपोर्ट्स ऑफ द डिपार्टमेंटल रिलेटेड कमिटीज आर रिकमेंडेटरी इन नेचर. इनकी जितनी भी रिकमेंडेशंस है जो भी दी जाती है वो रिकमेंडेटरी इन नेचर होती है. दीज आर नॉट बाइंडिंग. रिकमेंडेशन इटसेल्फ मीन्स नॉट बाइंडिंग इन द गवर्नमेंट एंड बट डू कैरी आउट सिग्निफिकेंट वेट. बट जाहिर सी बात है, इनकी जो recommendations होते हैं, जो suggestions होते हैं, उन पे गवर्नमेंट तवज्जो देती है, उन पे ध्यान देती है. And in the past, the government has accepted the suggestions given by the committee, they have incorporated the suggestion in the final bill, right? They come for the consultations, and these panel also examine the issues with their respective ministries to make suggestions of the government. And the government has also to report the black whether the recommendations have been accepted based on the committee's the table actions report detailing the status of the government action and other recommendations are taken into considerations. Now, moving to the other news, SBI launches Gram Seva program, important for General Studies paper 2, under the topic welfare schemes for the vulnerable section of the populations by the center and the government. So recently, during the occasion of Gandhi Jayanti, जो स्टेट बैंक ग्रुप के चेयरमैन हैं, उन्होंने अनाउंस किया that fourth phase of SBI Gram Seva program was launched. They have actually launched it, and commemorating the Gandhi's vision of Gram Swaraj, SBI के Gram Seva जो को लॉन्च किया गया था 2017 में, to build and develop an आत्मनिर्भर rural India. This is very important. Even you can use this type of example in essay. आप essay जैसे पेपर में भी इसके यूज कर पाएंगे. Now, adaptations of remote villages की concept है under the flagship scheme of the SBI foundations. Banks will adopt the villages across the aspirational district. जो गवर्नमेंट की aspirational district program है, उसके अंदर जो aspirational districts हैं, जैसे हरियाणा के कुछ districts हैं, गुजरात, महाराष्ट्र, पंजाब, तमिलनाडु, इन states के अंदर जो भी aspirational districts हैं, उनमें banks बनाए जाएंगे. Basically, foundation will work, right? Now, the Gram Seva program is one of the flagship programs of the SBI, which works for a CSR arm of the state bank group, right? So this is how the adaptation of the remote village will took place from the following states. Now, what is the aim of this program? Why SBI is coming up with such sort of programs? So the program emphasizes for the holistic development of the village and also by active interventions of the area like educations, healthcare, livelihood and infrastructure. So these are the things that are taken into considerations. The program has so far adopted 100 villages across the 16 states in 3 phases. Now, the SBI foundations believe in reflecting the ethos of the State Bank of India group in running the interventions that are ethical, promote growth, and equitable and create positive impact on the society. Now, moving to the other news, that is Sri Lanka is anticipating the lesser vote at UNHRC. This is something relevant for General Studies paper 2 and that the topic India and its neighborhood relations. Now, Sri Lanka Foreign Minister in its official statement has said that the Sri Lanka will get significantly lesser number of favorable vote in the United Nations Human Rights Council. Right? This is an anticipation which is coming from the government end itself, and the minister's position signal that there is a shift in the Colombo tone from a month ago. A resolutions on Sri Lanka will be put on vote that will highlight the long pending demand for the truth and justice for the alleged war crime that took place in the civil war and the years after years ended in 2009 apart from the right violations since there. And people of Sri Lanka are really in a situation where they have not been vocal about this part. उनके grievance redressal बहुत ही poor है. That is the reason this issues has been highlighted at to the highest level. The proposed resolutions की अगर बात करें, the proposed resolution this year underscore the importance of adding and addressing the underlying governance factor. Recently, we have seen the turmoil that took place in Sri Lanka, the worst economic crisis that took place, right? And that has contributed to the Sri Lanka with an unprecedented economic crisis. Now, it identified deepenings the militarizations, lack of accountability in the governance, impunity to the serious human rights violators and abusers. Now, further, it recognizes that the promotions and protections of the human right for the preventions and fight against the corruption that is mutually reinforcing. तो जिस समय अभी टर्मोइल चेंज हुई है, गवर्नमेंट चेंज हुई है, जो पहले के प्राइम मिनिस्टर और प्रेसिडेंट दोनों थे उन पे ये क्लेम बेसिकली दे वर द ब्रदर्स एंड दे वर बीइंग क्लेम दैट द नेपोटिज्म इन द गवर्नेंस इज टेकिंग प्लेस एंड दे आर नॉट doing any favor to the citizen, and even the huge economic burden is passed to the citizen of this country. The failure of administration has led to the turmoil in the country. Now, UN resolution और इंडिया के स्टैंड की अगर बात करें, in March 2021, Sri Lanka faced the UN resolutions that was put in vote in Geneva at the headquarters. And while 22 countries voted in the favor and 11 countries voted against, endorsing Sri Lanka's position, 14 ऐसे countries थे जिन्होंने abstain की थी voting से, right? India was among the country that abstained from the voting. See, Sri Lanka is our immediate neighbor, right? Doing something will take a lot more caution. The reason being India has put itself in a neutral approach and abstained from the voting. And this time it is also expected that India may abstain from the voting, and other countries among 47 members are likely to proactively back the resolutions. So let's see what is happening. Now, anti-terrorism law की बात की गई है, outlining the government efforts to repeal the country's much criticized anti-terrorism law that was introduced as a new one and bring about the constitutional amendment to strengthen the parliamentary mechanism and redistribute 97% of the military land in the north and east region. So this is the domestic problem that has emerged in the Sri Lanka. They will definitely have to look into this. India, although abstaining from the voting, will have a recommendations on this part, but largely to the larger extent, India will abstain from the voting. Now, moving to the editorial of the day, calamity-prone urban India worrisome story, right? This is important for General Studies paper 1, that is important geographical phenomena such as earthquake, tsunami, volcanic activities and cyclone. So what is the issues under this editorial? Talking about the theme, this particular editorial talks about the urban flood, and I'll be simplifying this editorial with 4 important subheads. That is the piecemeal solutions and the old masterpiece, lack of the master plan, flaws in the action plan, and the processes needed to be institutionalized in order to control the urban flood in India. Now, अगर बात करें बैंगलोर की, recent you must come across the news where Bangalore has been put into the paralyzed city, and it's a tech city. It's the most advanced IT city in India, which is considered to be on the highest in terms of IT sectors and upgrowing the urbanizations is there. But when it comes to flood, the poor management was evident at this time. Now, similar scenes has also emerged in some of the important major cities across the country, which include Delhi, which we have seen the worst flood situation in 2013 and 21, Mumbai 2005, Chennai 2015 and 21, Hyderabad 2020, that has left behind the extensive loss of property and life. डैमेजेस की अगर बात करें, अगर मुंबई की एक एग्जांपल के तौर पे देखिए 14,000 करोड़ रुपीस के लॉसेस मार्क की गई है between 2005 to 2015, and figure from the Chennai is was estimated 15,000 crore rupees for the figure 2015 alone. So why there is no urban planning, no tech advancement? Why can't we have some advancement of technology when it's come to the urban planning, or you can say controlling of the urban flood? Now, looking into this map, you will easily make out that how the flood zone in our country works. So this red in color is mostly the flood prone area. You can see these are the highlighted here. So 75 lakh hectare of land are affected on average in a year. And talking about the losses monetarily, we have 18,005 crore losses damage due to the crop and public utilities, and loss of life is close to 1600 for every year. And this is an established fact which took place every year around the corner. Now, over 37 million people affected across the 5 important, apart from all the other states, जहाँ पे अगर बैंगलोर और दिल्ली जैसी जगह की बात करें, it's a gradual basis. ये ऐसा नहीं है रेगुलर होती है, ये ऑप्शनल है जब यहाँ पे होती है. बट कुछ स्टेट्स ऐसे हैं जहाँ पे हमेशा फ्लड इम्पैक्ट करती, दैट इंक्लूड बिहार, आसाम, वेस्ट बंगाल एंड इवन गुजरात एंड उत्तर प्रदेश. तो ये कुछ ऐसे स्टेट्स हैं जहाँ पे काफ़ी ज़्यादा क्लैमिटीज़ और प्रॉब्लम देखी गई हैं because of the flood. Now, piecemeal solutions and old masterpiece की अगर बात करें, basically the problem is there. अगर बात करें पुरानी कर्नाटका गवर्नमेंट की जो एक प्लान बनाई गई थी, मास्टर प्लान, that costed around 900 crore rupees, but even in the present context in 2022, this has failed. Right nowadays, the recent flood, the municipality has ordered the anti-encroachment drive. Well, these measures were not helpful at best piecemeal solutions to the systematic problem, and the lack of climatic consciousness was also there. Right, तो प्लानिंग प्रोसेस थी, उसमें क्लाइमेटिक कॉन्शियसनेस की जिस तरह से ज़रूरत होनी चाहिए, जिस तरह से एविडेंट होनी चाहिए, वो बिल्कुल मिसिंग थी. Unfortunately, the dearth of the climate migrations measures the urban planning and uncontrolled urban sprawls only make the next calamity more likely. अगर इस तरह से ही सिचुएशन रही तो आने वाले समय में सिचुएशन और वर्स्ट हो सकती है. Now, lack of master plan, this is a big challenge and a big concern. So, Bangalore has no master plan to control its development since 2015, and it is unlikely to get a new one before 2025. This is what the expert says. And across India, 65% of the urban settlement do not have a master plan. This is a reality of a country which has emerged as the third or fifth largest economy in the world. तो हमारे पास जो बेसिक मूलभूत सुविधाएं अगर उस पर ध्यान नहीं देंगे तो फिर आगे काफ़ी ज़्यादा परेशानियां हो सकती हैं. While there's a usual do not address the issues of environmental, and the lack of climatic mitigation is also a concern. Despite the lack of capacity and bandwidth in the state government to undertake the exercise, जो रिपोर्ट है नीति आयोग की, उसने भी हाईलाइट किया that powers to prepare master plan within the state government with any city government reduce the stakeholders without much authority. तो स्टेट के पास ना तो कैपिटल है, ना तो इवन दे हैव द स्टेट ऑफ आर्ट टेक्नोलॉजी, ना तो एक्सपर्टीज. दैट इज द रीजन दे आर मिसिंग आउट. So what we need to do, we can have the best practices across the globe and implement it in a city. Now, with some of the city administration has developed the drainage and even call for the flood mitigations, they need to have a statutory backing and a master plan to overcome this problem. Now, drainage master plan for Delhi was crafted 46 years ago. In 1976, which a new master plan has just implemented. Now, in terms of the Bangalore city, the drainage lines as per 2015 master plan is vary significantly from the drain mapped in the municipality. The responsibility of maintaining these are lacks of the split among the 12 agencies and the state cities level, right? So we need to have a coordination in terms of the state level, the district level, the administration need to coordinate overall, and even it can be backed and supported by the central government. Now, flaws in the action plan, this is evident. So, over the few years, it has been seen that the city administration like Mumbai, Ahmedabad, Nagpur, they have been adopting a climate action plan. But अगर मुंबई की बात करें particularly, it's ambitious covering all aspects of the city environmental flooding to air pollution. मुंबई एक ऐसी सिटी है जो एविडेंट है कि हर एक साल यहाँ पे बारिश की वजह से काफ़ी ज़्यादा परेशानी आती है. However, the plan also lacks the statutory backing and it does not prescribe any regulatory and control to come across the problem that can recommend as a measures, and even the authorities do not adopt the recommendation that is given. So it is there, what we feel, what the institutions feel, what the government feel, that this is a normal thing, this is inevitable and this will go on. But we have to take a call and we need to ensure that we have to protect it, right? And there's a crucial flaw in the render, and it's also toothless. See, there's no penal provision if the implementation is not proper. So we need to make it more basically robust in terms of penalty to the authorities who is not properly implementing it. Now, finally, these plans are usually an expert-driven endeavors without the critical element of public participation. सारी चीज़ों के साथ जो पब्लिक पार्टिसिपेशन है वो एक बहुत ही अहम है, अतुल्य है. It is very something that is essentially required. So people participation for any programs and policies is very important. So we need to call and motivate people to participate and cooperate with the government. So this is how the action plan can move ahead. Now, process that need to be institutionalized. So there's a need to create a creation of comprehensive climate action plan जहाँ पे इंडियन सिटीज को जो खास करके स्टेट गवर्नमेंट उनको स्टैट्यूटरी बैकिंग दी जाए मास्टर प्लान को बनाने में. There would be institutional process and public consultation should be there to prepare the proposals. Further, there's a need for the environmental protection agencies to proactively take the issues related to the climate change. And unless government address the Indian urban issues as a priority, the government uncontrolled urban sprawl will not only make next calamity and more likely. So अगर इस तरह से प्रॉब्लम के सॉल्यूशंस को नज़रअंदाज की गई तो कहीं ना कहीं आने वाले समय में ये सेम रिपीटेशन ऑफ प्रॉब्लम हमें देखने को मिल सकती है. सो डेफिनेटली वी नीड टू वर्क, वी एज अ सिटीजन ऑल्सो नीड टू कंट्रीब्यूट on the government part. So this is how an institutionalized solution can be implemented. Now moving to the MCQ questions of the day. Before I proceed, just to tell you the answers of yesterday questions. Like for the first question, the correct option is C, this. And for the second question, the correct option is A. This is for the previous session. Today's MCQ for practice, आपको बताना है CPI के बारे में. This has been released by Corruption Eradication Commission and India की जो position है वो क्या है वो आपको correct बतानी है, right? Now moving to the second question of the day, that is, which city in India hold the global tree status? So do check it out for the correct option: Bangalore, Indore, Hyderabad, or New Delhi, right? So this was all about for the daily news and editorial analysis followed by the MCQ questions. If you have any other concern, do let me know. I'll be more than happy to assist you. For time being, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for watching this video.